Hi, my name is Tiani. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I do make videos about my fitness and weight loss journey while encouraging you all to become your best selves by sharing my tips and experiences that I've learned along the way. So if that's something that is of interest for you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. But let's get into the video. I put off therapy for so many years, and I've always been the one that was like, okay, I don't need therapy. I don't need to talk to somebody about my issues. I have my friends to vent to. Sometimes, yeah, you do have your friends to vent to. However, sometimes you need that perspective of someone else who doesn't know you to provide input, provide like a different perspective. And that's just my opinion, and we can agree to disagree. I did end up getting a therapist, and I'm extremely happy I got a therapist, guys, because she was awesome. The first therapist, we didn't work out and I was ready to quit. I found her, and amazing individual. And she called me out on my BS too. So I do like that. Like, I need someone to put me in my place. The things that my therapist taught me were life-changing for me. It might be black and white for you all. It might be obvious, some of the things I'm going to share with you in this video. However, for me, it gave me a different perspective on how I looked at things. And it made me realize that I have to unlearn a lot of toxic behavior that I was around growing up, and around people who just have all this toxicity. Or you don't realize it's toxic behavior until it's pointed out and shown to you in a different light. First thing that my therapist told me was changing my environment. Not to put my business out there or anything like that, but I was explaining to her about how I felt when I was around certain people. There's certain people in my life that I just don't feel comfortable when we're all in the same room. Like, they're triggering for me, and I don't want to deal with them. If I can have minimal contact with them as possible, I would love to, but it kind of sucks when you either have like mutual friends, or if they're family. It's hard to get away from them when you have to be at the same parties or the same family gatherings. I explained how uncomfortable I felt being around those people. She then asked, why am I feeling uncomfortable? I let her know like the past history and just where our relationship stands with those individuals today. And she goes, you can change that environment. You don't have to be around those people. You can limit your interaction with that person. You can change that. That's your priority, to change that. If you feel uncomfortable, why be in the same room with someone who makes you feel that way? Or why be in a room with someone who makes you angry when you see them? I never thought about it like that, because I was continuously putting myself in an uncomfortable state just to be supportive of someone else. Meanwhile, I'm uncomfortable the entire time, and that's a disservice to me. I didn't understand that at the time until she explained it. Sometimes you'll have those people like, oh, we're their family, so they can just, they can do those things. So they're dismissing that toxic behavior because they're family. Or, oh, they're the friend of the family, so we just let that slide. And my therapist was like, no, you don't let that slide. You change your environment, you limit your contact, and that creates a better environment and headspace for you. The next thing that my therapist told me was that I'm in control of myself. And what she meant by that is we can only control what we do. We can only control our actions. Even if we're married, we can't control our spouse's actions. We can't control what our spouses do. We can't control what our friends do or how other people react. You could try, but you can't. The only person that you're in charge of is yourself. I was telling her how I was so unhappy in certain aspects of my life, and not that I was depending on my spouse to make me happy in that aspect, but my therapist broke it down saying, since you are in charge of yourself, you are in charge of your own happiness. Your spouse is an additive, yes, but you have to put in the work to make you happy. She lectured me saying that I have to go on like a self journey, learning myself, doing things that make me happy, doing things that make me feel good, because I'm in control of that. You can have the best spouse in the world, but if you're not happy, they're not going to change that. You have to make you happy. And it's so funny because I saw that Will Smith made a post about how he couldn't make Jada happy. She had to find her own happiness. And I totally related to that, because I'm like, dang, now I get that statement, because before I didn't understand it. My therapist put it in perspective for me. Dang, I am in charge of my own happiness. So I went on this journey of like, kind of like square one. Okay, what do I like, what I don't like, taking myself out on dates. I even stayed in a hotel for a week, guys, just to get away and just get my mindset right. It was liberating for me in itself. So going on that journey, and her statement really made me realize, like, I am in charge of myself. That's all I'm in charge of. I can't control nobody else. I mean, besides my kid right now, but we are in control of ourselves. I mean, it might be obvious to some, but I've seen some toxic relationships where they felt like they can control people. They felt like they had control over everything, over everyone. You can't control what other people do. You just can't. So another thing that my therapist told me that kind of aligns with the previous thing is that you have to put yourself first. And given all the roles that I have in my life right now, wife, mom, daughter, you know, all the roles that we have in this life, especially being a mom. I know you parents can probably relate. You don't put yourself first. The baby always comes first, because that's how I felt when my son was first born. He was always coming first before me, and I would always put myself on the back burner. However, my therapist made this statement when I was just telling her all my issues. She's like, it sounds like you don't take care of you. Like, what do you want? What do you need for you to be healthy and move forward in a healthy way? She's like, if you don't take care of you, then everything in the house is just gonna go down. You gotta take care of you. At the end of the day, your spouse needs you, your son needs you, your family needs you. Don't take care of you, then you can just dwindle away. It hit home for me. I always thought putting yourself first was a selfish act, a disservice to myself by not putting myself first, by putting myself on the back burner. I'll put my health last, and if I'm getting sick, who's gonna take care of everything in the house? So I get what she means by putting yourself first, and I never looked at it from that perspective. Since I put myself first, life has been great. I saw things move in a more positive direction, more so than they ever have before. The next thing that my therapist shared with me that changed the game is attack the problem and not the person. Sounds obvious, you guys. So for example, your spouse don't help you with household chores. You can make a statement saying, you never help me with household chores. Using words like never, only, and always may not sound like an attack. However, it feels like an attack on the other person. And I love that my therapist said this, because when you use that sentence, it does sound like an attack. Like you never, like you're putting them in this box. When she broke down what she meant by this statement, I was like, oh wow. I said, those are some of the things that I do say to people, and I need to change the language I use with my family and friends and even my spouse. Instead of using words like that, and change your verbiage. Tone and the different verbiage that you can use that doesn't sound condescending or doesn't sound like you're attacking the other person. could be a game changer in your relationship. And it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship, a relationship with your family, a relationship with your friends. And I did use a lot of this language, and I never noticed that it was considered toxic or considered an attack on somebody else. Now that I know that information, I will try my best not to use those words. I'm not promising I'm not going to use them, but I have, since she told me that, I try not to use those words because it does feel like you're attacking the other person. And I would never want somebody to feel like I was attacking them in any way, shape, or form. We want to talk about the problem. So you discuss the problem, you put the problem on the table, make a plan on how to resolve that problem. And that goes with all relationships. Next thing you told me that was a game changer was writing in a journal, which I used to do in the past. And I'm not consistent with it now. However, I do write down what I'm feeling at the time, why am I feeling this way, and then see where the source is so I can change it, so I can move forward. And I love that she brought that to my attention, because writing down my thoughts and understanding why I felt the way I felt about certain things in my life. So those are the things that my therapist told me that were game changers for me. Are you guys going to therapy? If you all are in therapy, if you don't want to share below, that's fine. But if you are, what are some things that your therapist told you that really changed your life or gave you a different perspective? So I would like to know. Well, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video. Peace.